is time for raising funds for world domination, day 100. So today, once again, there's no updates on these items. The last video I released was earlier this week, and as of late, I've just been focusing on the terminal block mining game. So I've been focusing on some unit tests to debug some bugs and performance issues with the screen layer merging process. So we'll pull the latest. Up from here says, hello, how's it going? So I'd hoped to finished all this refactoring work a lot earlier, but it seems to be just dragging on. All right, the game still builds. So here is the test cases. So I have some, I took time to write some visuals so I can actually see what I'm debugging. So before I started the stream earlier, I think I figured out why this bug happens. It's because I'm not in my test suite. It's a bug in the test suite, basically. I'm not keeping track of the changed regions. ASMR Electronicos says, hello, how's it going? Hello, Mr. Elder. I saw a video on a guy who started $1 million a year business, and I thought of you. Excellent. Hopefully I will soon also have $1 million a year business. Okay, so the solution to this problem is so in this I'm going to have to keep track of changed regions. Happy day 100 of following your passion. Thank you. It was unusual in that it sold a service, in this case graphic design, via web interface and by subscription. Like 5,000 a month. Graphic design via web interface. Because I'm not sure what that would. Is it like a website SaaS type product? would assume graphic design would be a competitive market for that today. It's a solopreneur. Interesting. And it was a $1 million a year business. That's good. I hope that's a real, authentic story that gives some hope. There are technically also a lot of people like that who say that they have $1 million a year business, but actually it's that can be a marketing strategy. It's just lie and say that you built a massive business doing something, but really it's only makes a little bit. And there's also a difference between revenue and profit. Day 100. Wow. Yeah, I'm not gonna do. I'll have to do day 101 tomorrow. It'd be like saying, "You can hire me, Robert Elder, for $500 a month. Limited only by a few rules." He had gotten up to 5,000 a month customers. Even if it's 15,000 a year, it's a business model selling a flat rate subscription to your service instead of having a client building relationship. Yeah, the numbers you're putting out sound good, although there's the real questions are, what does the work entail, and like how authentic are the numbers? How much does he spend on advertising and stuff? And I would imagine graphic designers would be very competitive. I'm honestly very surprised that anyone. I guess I also wonder how long ago that was. Because if someone said they built $1 million business like that today, I'd be quite skeptical. Trippy Sis says hi. How's it going? Nice. We got our first super chat from Roger Bartlett. $10. Thank you very much. Pretty good. That's good. Rules are quite clever. You can only have one request at a time. They can't be changed when submitted. Almost go through a web interface. Force clients to have efficient requests. Actually, that's kind of innovative. It's like such a. I would imagine that like for the actual person doing the implementation work, that would massively speed up performance. But for clients always want requests and changes. Captain Cave Monkey. Hey Robert, they make these things called IDEs now. You don't have to code in the editor anymore. I installed one and I tried using it, but it's I just fell back on my old ways. Roger Bartlett, who's now #1 in the chat, says, "Hi, Robert." A little disappointed and want to make it a worthwhile contribution in commemoration to your 100 days. A little disappointed. And I'm not sure what you mean by disappointed. You're a channel member, so you're contributing to the cause. Oh, I see. Hopefully this is better than nothing. Have a great stream. Thank you very much for the $10. And interestingly, YouTube assigned you a rank of only #3 for that super chat. As a terrible editor, the IntelliJ or Vim. Meter says, "Howdy, how's it going?" I remember back in the day, started in Windows. I used to code all the time in Notepad, or refused to use an IDE because I didn't think it was pure. Yeah, I remember those days. I think I started out in Notepad as well, and then eventually upgraded to Notepad++. I actually do go back and forth. I do use the IDE sometimes, especially for if I want to debug something. But I found, like just for navigation and stuff, I find the better thing is just kind of use each tool for what it's best at. And I would say when I'm in like coding Zen mode, that's still best in Vim. But then like debugging mode, trying to debug in Vim, it's just totally not the same. But I guess there's probably, I still have yet to test around with NeoVim or with Cloud or any of the AI editors. Yeah, I use that sometimes. All right, I have to figure out which changed regions to use. don't use AI editors who always suck at programming. Never get better. Yeah, I've been thinking a bit more about like the philosophy of or like how to articulate what AI can accomplish, because it does seem like there is a pretty valid use case for like faster templating and stuff. Like if you want to say make a class that's like this other class but with slight differences or something, it's just like some kind of tedious like passing around and initializing an array or something. But it kind of seems like there's like some of the specific code in here. Like if you ask it to do like anything with a bunch of like math and for loops, if you tell it to like refactor this to make it more efficient, the probability that it gives you something that has an error in it is extremely high. Or if you just ask it to do any kind of operation on code that looks like this. Cloud Code has an integration for Notepad. Is that real? Nice. Just have to have line numbers nowadays. Yeah, I found I navigate a lot with there's a few I have a few like shortcuts that I use for navigation in Vim. So :0 goes to start a file, and then Shift and capital G goes to end a file. And then if I want to go up to like the top of, so right now the cursor's down here, if I want to jump up to the top here, I use the %sign. So %sign will jump to matching brace. I can use that to like hop up one function at a time. And then another big one that I use is I just if I know there's a piece of code with a piece of text, like I know there's somewhere down there around where I want to go, there's a variable called bottom layer, and I just type that, and now I'm immediately down here. And then when I have a bug, I just type up. Then you do plus with Vim will open the file at that exact line. So that way I can go exactly to where I want, like instantly. And that aspect is, I think, even faster than navigating with an IDE. Because if I want to go back to something, or if I want to, I can just quickly type a different number here, and then go immediately to that line. Good for research. Tried AI for programming. The code is crap. Yeah, that actually does seem to be a lot of what it seems to even give you research even when that's not what you asked for. Like if you say like write a piece of code that does this, they're like, certainly. We can start by doing this, and then it'll sort of like, start to map out how you might approach the solution, but it's just telling you what work to do. I love your Linux videos. Is it possible to get rich being a Linux expert like you? What is the Linux guru market like? I think maybe if you did like enterprise consulting or something like that. I don't know. I think just the Linux knowledge alone might get you like a job, but my impression of like, becoming an independent software consultant is well, if you look at my videos about consulting on my channel, that explains my sentiment toward it. I think you really have to, if you want to succeed as an independent business, you have to have something on top of that. The Linux videos have a less broad appeal, so they overall haven't brought in that many views and that much YouTube revenue, but I think it has been successful in like kind of seeding the initial audience. Now to get more views, you have to go with more broad reach topics. Like the most recent video I did, that's pretty broad reach. It's just about like, what general career advice. But of course, if you're starting out a channel to grow from nothing, I think it helps to be more specific when you're making content. I'd like to get back to some of the Linux content, but it just doesn't quite bring in the revenue. Bro, that's more orc than GG or G. Admitted you have learned how to prime the LLM so it goes out of control. Not sure what you mean by that. AI creation is where all of the money is currently. Yeah, definitely some people are making like AI content and AI slop and stuff like that, but the question is, how long is that going to be monetizable? I think if anyone posting a lot of AI slop on their channel is likely to get hit with penalties in the near future. You assess it, but you can't wrangle it. Not sure. That was a good solid video. I don't think it's going to be your broke loser video. That thing hit broad appeal. Yeah, I think it was also at the right time. Probably a lot of people in the same have the same sentiment around that time. It was also ideal time of year to release that video because everyone was on holiday, had lots of time to sit down and watch a 1-hour video. YouTube announced in mid-July, all AI content will be demonetized. Interesting. Did they announce that? That's pretty harsh to completely demonetize it. AI itself, not content creation. I like the details you provided in the sort and grep videos. But yes, super niche. Yeah, it's also, I also kind of questioned. I started that series like before AI really blew up. It was kind of like AI was just starting to, I think I'd maybe had like 50 videos out at the time when ChatGPT was really taking off. But we still use those tools, but at the same time, it's a question of like, is that really the most important thing to be learning nowadays? I'm not sure. I think we still will be using those commands in the future, but yes, they announced that? Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, in my plans for World Domination video, I used AI images in that video. And I flagged, like you're supposed to, I guess, flag. I just went ahead and notified YouTube that for that video, I clicked the flag that says it contains like realistic AI generated imagery or whatever, because it does. That makes me wonder, like, what percentage demonetized would I get? Is it going to get completely demonetized, or? PewDiePie did release a video about installing Arch. Got 6 million views. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, he's doing a whole Linux arc. That's pretty good. That'll get a lot of people on board. What are you doing, sir? I'm currently working on doing some test cases for my terminal-based video game. I'm currently working on, I guess you can't see it in the output now, but I'm working on some utilities. I'm fixing some bugs in some utilities related to merging together screen layers. So when I render the user interface, I need to merge together the overlapping layers of text that appear on the terminal. And I currently have a basically working implementation, but it's full of bugs and it's quite slow. Miss the old days of MUDs. Yeah, I don't know, maybe in the future we'll have some new and improved terminal-based video games. Do you know data systems? Do you know data system and algorithm in Java? I'm not sure what data system you mean, but I know a bit about algorithms. I believe I remember the book from college. Oh, is it the name of a book? Data systems and algorithms in Java? Haven't heard of it. Mods were the sheet. Hope we can get those back someday. Maybe we'll see how far I can get on my terminal-based video game. Java's so hard for me. In our daily lecture, teacher teaches us all, and it bounces out of our head. It just takes lots of practice, I guess. Went to college to become radiologist. Ended up in computer science. So I just couldn't get passionate about radiology, and I had been programming since 12. Radiology, that I would imagine that requires a lot of complicated math. I had a choice to do an elective that it was, I don't know if it was specifically called radiology, but it was mentioned something about, it was like some of the prerequisite math you need for like medical scans and stuff. Lots of calculus. What projects would you think would give you strong fundamentals in software engineering or CS? Most people should probably do. I'd say the question is not specific enough. Strong foundation. I'd say you have to think a bit more about like what subset, well, like what job do you want to go into, or if you want to go into like academia, what do you want to specialize in? So do you want to do web development or like embedded systems development, or mobile app development? Those are all pretty different, and I think the like there's just too much stuff to learn, too many frameworks and things, so you have to pick one and focus on that. Probably wouldn't be a broke loser if I had stuck with radiology, but I also would be a lot more miserable. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of seems like in the medical profession, everything is like very gate kept. Like there's lots of demand. There's lots of people that want to work in medicine, but there's I don't know, our overarching system has somehow like made it so we have to have a max quota on how many doctors and people we can have. We can't have more than that, otherwise it would lower the cost of healthcare, which would hurt certain interests. So I don't know if that applies to radiology professionals though. What would be the first thing you do after you dominate the world? That's a good question. It's difficult to answer hypotheticals like that, because it also really depends on like who you have buy-in from. Because if you're at the top of the world, you have to instruct other people to do things for you. Yeah, I guess it would depend on depending on what the political sentiment is at the time. Broadly speaking, I'd say fix the economy. If the economy is good, then everyone's happy. Like I am saying, is it legal to teach first-year computer science? Is it legal to teach first-year computer science students Java? I guess. All right, sir, keep up the good work. I will finish graphics designing. Excellent. Thank you very much. I made a little game for my terminal with fancy graphics and Python a few days ago. Glorious. Yeah, it's very, the terminal is very simple. It's got very clear feedback. The graphics are simple. They don't overtake your graphics card. A great starting project to give you a real good grasp of computer science. Create your own basic operating system. I can't disagree with that. That will teach you a lot about computer science. If you implement like full preemptive context switching and stuff and interrupts, it can be pretty challenging for like a first project though. I'd say that's more of like a grad school project. Will you not provide free cat healthcare for all obedient cats on day one? They don't have to be obedient cats. They just have to be good quality, as long as they don't hiss and they're not angry all the time and like claw the furniture. SL Reflect says, be my dad. Please be my father. Unfortunately, this is too much work. Captain Cave Muggy says, sadly, yes. There are no obedient cats. Yeah, I think that's accurate. Best starting language if you want strong foundations. C, learn memory management, buffer overflows, and stack smashing. Yeah, that's not wrong. And I mean, I'm tempted to agree with it. I think the real answer is like whatever gets you into it. Because different people are have different levels of interest and tolerance for certain things. Some people like to start off with the super low level stuff, like actually memory managing and stuff. Some people are get more engaged if they're doing a bit more high level stuff, like in Python. Started with QBasic at 12. I actually started with QBasic as well, way back in, I think I was around the same age. It was like 13 or 14. That was back when I knew absolutely nothing about it. Created a fully animated Wheel of Fortune game. Created a Jeopardy game as well. Had about 300 questions. Interesting. That's a lot more advanced than my first QBasic program. I think I started off like trying to like read programs that would find like prime numbers and stuff, but I couldn't. I wasn't quite it was harder to find resources to learn back then. It's kind of amazing how much things have changed now. You can just like watch YouTube tutorials on things, but was it my first? I had to build up to it. Yeah, I started off with QBasic. I think it was QBasic or there's something. I found this thing called like RBasic. It was some like weird free download compiler thing. I think it was someone was trying to make like a kind of open version of Visual Basic, and then eventually I got my hands on Visual Basic 6, and having an IDE allowed me to actually like figure out how to get started. And I think before that I tried learning C++ early on. I downloaded some like C++ compiler, but I didn't understand how to get it to run. I'm pretty sure what I needed to do was open it. I needed a compile on the command line, and I didn't know. I would just like click on this exe, and it would like flash and open, and then it would go away, and that was probably the compiler. All right, that might work. All right, that went a bit further. Maybe it didn't actually. I think I just changed the seed. Still having trouble with screen rendering logic? Yes. I mean, it started out as a simple thing, but I kept having more and more bugs with it. It's like if you check the last release version, I already have a working version of this system. The problem is it's not robust. It has some subtle bugs in it, and then it also has problems with efficiency, and there's some other efficiency issues that I can fix. But I really need. I had to kind of refactor and change some stuff, and it's annoying because in the previous version, there's something like 6 different functions for merging together layers, and like changes in how I want the merging rules to work. I'd have to like have them work the same in all the functions. So it's part of this is to merge together all those, just so there's one layer merge function. I'm down to 2 of them. The other issue is when there's multi-column characters, that when you merge down a multi-column character onto in the layer, it can occlude characters below it, and there's a bunch of complicated rules for that, which I think I've figured out, but it's full of bugs. So that's why I wrote the test cases. But then, in writing the test cases, I wrote some manual cases, and then I decided, you know what, I might as well just like write a fuzzer. I'll just like randomly, set all the different states that I can. So to debug that, I was like, well, now I need to write some visuals so I can actually like see what's going on instead of like having to step debug. I can just look at what's here. So this case is saying expect an object null. It's okay. So is it correct? I can barely even read that. I think that's okay. Still dealing with annoying terminal flashing when updating the buffer. Terminal flashing. It might be if you're like printing a bunch of like white space characters in between, that might cause it. Not FBI honeypot. Says happy 100 day. Thank you very much. That's what I'm seeing. It's getting that K instead of null. So I have some of this is bugs in the testing suite, because unfortunately the testing rules have to be complex. But I've written them. They ended up being, I guess, complex. But I wrote them to be like kind of slow and correct, so they're done through just a very different brute force method to optimize like how much I can verify that they're correct. Okay, so it's saying an x0, y0, layer 0. So in the output, it's okay. So is it correct? So this means that that character is active. It's the change flag set. And it doesn't have a change region there. Oh, you know what? What is happening? So that is in bug, I think, in the test case. Because the test case, it should cycle through, it should collect together all the different changed regions. I guess does it need to? I probably just will, for simplicity, I'll just make it cycle through all the, it has to collect together all the changed regions, but I think what I made it do is it's only looking for the first one. Or for the current layer. Does that mean I'll have to implement updated regions instead of spamming the whole screen? I'm not sure. If for debugging, if you have like a, I guess you'd want to question, do you have like clear screen codes? So if you have like a, what is it, that escape CSI J or something, to clear the screen. That might be causing a flash. If you're printing spaces, if you're printing spaces to clear the screen at all, as a debug thing, you could just change the space character to like a really obvious X character, capital X or something, and then see if the screen flashes with a bunch of X's instead of spaces, if that's, that'll help you debug if that's the case or not. But you can also use like directional ANSI escape sequences, so you might be able to just move the cursor up or around or paint over things. Depends how your updating algorithm works. Who's the tenants board you mentioned? An independent governmental agency? Yeah, I guess it's part of the government of Ontario. The landlord and tenant board. Without seeing full source code, couldn't say. The test incorrectly assumes the position should remain null. Yeah, I'm pretty sure from this, it's a bug in my test case. I do have the /x b2j at the beginning of my refresh logic. Yeah, my guess is that's probably that might be related. I guess depends how you're rendering it, but you could just like comment that out, and if you're using like that might kind of break your rendering. But if removing that removes the flash, then that's probably related. think that's more correct. I just realized I think that new member I spent a bunch of time adding is probably not even necessary. Right, that's maybe not surprising. What's going on? I'm currently working on improving some test cases for a terminal-based video game that I'm working on. Nice, looks complicated. Best of luck. Thank you. 1954. So that's looking at the change flag. So it expects it to be true, but it's false in layer 1, which is not the output layer. So it should be expecting it to be false because it's in one of the changed regions. And these flags are supposed to be cleared as part of the layer merging process. So and the reason it gets cleared is because that way it doesn't print more than necessary. Oh, I see. That should just return this. Is there any deadline for you to release the game, or is this just an update? So the game's already released. If you check the link in the description, there should be a link to the GitHub where the latest stable release is there. I was hoping to maybe have all this screen layer difference merging stuff fixed by day 100, but it's day 100 now, and the way I'm looking at it now, I think it's at least another week of work on this. But yeah, I think it's kind of I'm so deep into it now that it's like fresh in my mind. But if I get away from it now, it'll be like impossible to get back into it. So I'll try to just power through it and get to the next milestone. $16.91. What's wrong with the screen? So the process of merging together. Let me. Robert, you are the host with the way most. Oh, so it's way most now, not a way meant. So I'll boot up the game and illustrate. So right now, so that slowness. There's actually, I think, a bunch of issues I have now. So moving around is so number one, because I have bugs in it at the moment because I'm in the middle of a refactor. When I try to move around, the character disappears. One of the significant errors that I had, or like problems, wow, $100. James Goodrich sends 100. Another resource in the mine. How did that get there? Wow, thank you very much. That's incredibly generous of you. You're a very dedicated super chatter as well. So it's not more than 100. It's been $10 for most of the last few nights. Congrats on the streak, and that's for the escape open square bracket 2J tip that was driving my eyes crazy. Well, I'm glad that my advice was able to help you out. That's a very expensive tip. Yeah, I mean, for more tips on that topic, you might be able to look at there's the positioning cursor sequences. You can do like up or down a few lines. I'm using some of those for my test cases as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, to answer the question about layer merging, so as you can see, that's totally broken at the moment. Now, if I so when I press escape, it is activating this layer. So this is in a totally separate layer, and there's a bunch of bugs with. So when I have multi-column characters, I think on this machine these are actually these raw characters are only 1 wide, but when they're 2 wide, I want to have it. I need it to be intelligent enough to actually occlude. So if I have a single column character and if I have a 2 column character behind it, and it partially occludes it, then I want to make it smart enough to actually occlude both of them when it merges the layers together. So as it is now, it looks horrible because the UI is broken, but there's a UI layer. So the player character, a recent development. Actually, this is not in the last version, but in the current version, the player character is in a separate layer, and the help menu is in a separate layer, which just activates and deactivates, and then the map area, or like all the UI elements are in a separate layer. But I'm also within the map area thing, I'm also going to make the actual map area inside the frame itself another layer, so that's going to be managed independently. And when I move around, I'm going to add an operation which currently when I move around, so when I go up again, it recalculates what should be at every it recalculates the text at every point in the map. But to improve the efficiency, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a screen layer operation to translate every single block by what it will. So like it'll have it pre-rendered and then it'll just translate it, and then the actual update operation only needs to happen on the new area that's exposed. So it'll just do like a movement in the array, a translation in the array, and at the time it does that, as the time of moving those, it'll calculate which blocks have changed, and then only issue screen updates for those areas, and then the actual recalculation will be like a thin strip up here and then a strip on the side. And right now it's just it's not doing all that, and obviously this I need to figure out why this is happening. I left in the escape H and the refresh, which returns to home position, which is useful when refreshing the full terminal areas as I do. Yeah, there's another one. There's another interesting character or escape sequence. I think it's not universal, but like if you want to have well, like in my program right now, when I quit, if I do Q, everything from this is still on the screen. But yet if I go into Vim, now I'm seeing something, I'm seeing this here, but then when I go back, like I go out of it, then I can see what was there before. And that is achieved. If you want to know how to do that, that is also an ANSI escape sequence. I forget what it's called. I think it's called the alternate screen buffer or something. There's a specific ANSI sequence for that. If you can check the Wikipedia page, see what it is. James Goodrich just now made the 100 for 100 connection. Yeah, that's a huge contribution. Thank you very much. I hope you're super rich. What are your thoughts on SKG? I don't even know what that stands for. I'll definitely have to research that. Yeah, it's I thought about adding it to my game concept, but it's one of those things where if you if you don't know about it, it's really hard. It's really hard to Google that. Once you know it's just an ANSI escape sequence. Apparently, it's not. I think it says it's not super universally supported, but I guess if Vim uses it, and I think I have seen Vim. I think I have seen like restricted Vim consoles, like at some early boot sequence console applications. When I use Vim, if I exit Vim, it doesn't go back to doesn't restore the previous screen. So there are probably examples of where that doesn't work. Stop killing games. Oh, I know there's a petition and some controversy and stuff, and some drama with pirate software, but I don't. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff like that coming up my feed, but I don't. I don't know. I don't have the time to go down all these drama rabbit holes stuff. But it sounds like there's it's positive that there's a lot of attention being put on it, because it'll hopefully, it may become like mainstream news, and then we will stop having to own nothing and pay subscriptions. All right, let's see what where my test case was. All right, I think this is the same issue as before. On line 1955. Yes, it is the change flag. Oh yeah, that's because I didn't actually fix the problem. So the problem is the change flag is not always going to be, it's going to be unset in some cases. E says day 100. Yes, indeed. Tomorrow will be day 101. What is the best thing you like about Canada? And why is it not Rob or Doug Ford? Best thing I like about Canada. It used to be a pretty good country back in 2014, and hopefully tomorrow it'll stop being bad, and then it'll just return to how it once was, and everything will go back to normal. You know what? That's going to be even more complicated, I think. All right, my test suite is starting to get crazy already. It's going to get even more crazy when I do the multi-column stuff. so it's saying the expected hump. Oh, did I not update the code? I did not. All right, it's still returning true. Maybe my logic is bad here. That might be progress. Look at that. It did a whole bunch without finding a failing test case. One, 3, 1, 0. Alright, it expected E, but it's on null. For the output layer in X and Y0. So it expected E. So is that correct? So it should not expect E because the layer is inactive at that point. Man, it's harder to write the test cases than it is the actual algorithm. Yo man, want to thank you for the CPU tutorial. I managed to get Doom running at 5 frames per second. After testing C. Thanks, bro. No problem. I knew that video would help a lot of people. That's probably why it's got so many views now. Let's fire up the debugger for this one. So layer 0. Oh boy, that's slow. All right, so it's calculating the top layer, the top character rung. So let's see what it does. Is that... that doesn't look right. Actually, maybe that makes sense. And this fuzz testing illuminates so many weird edge cases. So my problem is I made the algorithm generic, so it treats the like destination output layer as just any other layer, but if the destination layer is inactive, that kind of throws off the logic. It's going to have to be inconsistent for the last one. You're awesome. Thank you for the videos. No problem. Glad you enjoyed them. Maybe I'll have to change. Man, so many decisions that I don't want to make about things that are irrelevant. rewind another pair of eyes and crack open the repo. Have a read through, might take a bit to get my bearings. You can take a look at it if you want. This is not, this specific issue I'm thinking about is not so much of a, like, why does the bug happen? I realized like a logical inconsistency. Like, I just have to figure out what should be the desired behavior. Basically what I have is, so this 4x4, that represents like what would be in a little screen. So it's just like, so that would represent the entire screen of text, but for simpler to visualize. So this would be like the top, this is the top layer, this is the bottom layer, and I'm merging the top layer down onto this. This shows a map of the active states, so there's no, so that none of these pixels, so they're all deactive. So when they merge down, logically it makes sense. If both of them are deactive, there's nothing down here. But layer 0, which is included in the merge operation, is also the output. So there's a special case when the output you know what, I'll just fix my test case. So if and that'll make it more consistent. Because it's executing actually, you know what is in? Man, I'm gonna need two of these functions. Yes, Tice here. Robert, I'm thinking of making a game. I want to make this game for the web. I've heard web games get a bad rap. Any thoughts? Want to be easily playable. I would say the questions that I start with are there's maybe a lot of other questions to start with. So I guess you could ask like, what are your objectives for the game? Is it do you want to make a serious attempt to make money, or is it like a portfolio project for like resume building, or just like a fun thing to play around? Web games get a bad rap. I think the most important thing is that games are fun and playable. A really underappreciated aspect of making games or making any software in this day and age is marketing. So I would say more important than like reputation is how do you get people to have any reputation at all? Yeah, so if it's even no matter what format it's in, if it's web or mobile or desktop, if the game's good, people will play it and come back. Making a game could be quite a bit of work. So I guess if it's just like a for fun project, then you don't really need to think about marketing a lot. You might be just interested in kind of testing the waters and building your programming skills and making a portfolio item. In that case, I think it's probably fine to do web. Use whatever frameworks you are interested in learning. Turns out I'm able to join for part of the day 100. I'll miss these streams. Yeah, I guess I will have to end this series at some point. We'll see. I think we can squeeze in day 101. Actually, right, that simplified that. My aim is to make some money, but not with the intention of making it a big thing. I want to also just learn more about game dev. I'm trying to make it a story game. Episodes. Honestly, I would say that might even be it's probably like depending on how old you are and what, how much investment capital you have and time and stuff. I would say that's probably too many objectives at once. So Building like any kind of little game at all, if you've never built any kind of a significant application, that in itself is it's a significant project. So even if you build the project and it's just a resume builder and no one uses it, that's a significant accomplishment. And then another thing, if you like completely forget about your game for a second and just think about the task of like, how would you do marketing? How would you get 100 people to look at a web page about something? Actually, I'd even thought about a lot of a big aspect of a game is just like the kind of, there's like a fantasy or an interesting concept, like interesting like narratives and stuff like that. If you could just do a piece of writing, or like make some art, or like just like totally forget about the game for a second, make a piece of art or a story or some narrative, and then your challenge is get people to look at that piece of art, get like 100 people to read your story about something that happens in the game. Because if you can't do that, if you can't write a blog post about your concept of a game, if you can't get 100 people to look at a Reddit post about that, then there's no way that you can get 100 people to play your game. And so that's one aspect. That's just like only focus on marketing, not making money. Then there's like the making money part, which I guess you can I guess it's hard to make money without a product. But you could think of it some simple way of like just making some sales on something, like even try to sell I guess that doesn't really translate to Steam or something like that. But you could just once you actually have something, even like a really terrible game. Actually, that might be a goal. Make the most terrible game possible, and try to make like $10 on Steam or something, and just set your goal of like make any money at all, like greater than zero. And even one of those projects independently is like a significant feat that most game developers never even accomplish. Like there's a ton of games that people make that nobody plays on projects that don't complete. And I think that's a good way to, build your skills and build your confidence. But you can also just ignore everything I said and go for it and try to make the final product. I guess if you said your aim is to make money, it would probably make sense a lot to research the money-making part, because actually I think that's one big thing Steam gives you is some marketing. So if you watch some YouTube videos on how to market your game on Steam, and there's all kinds of things you'll have to know about. Like when your game first launches, you'll probably get like a bunch of people in this, I think like wish list or something. There's a whole like thing. You have to like, start by forgetting about game development and then binge watch like 20 videos on people who launched their game on Steam. I think there's quite a bit of data on that out there now. And then you'll get a feel for like, okay, you gotta have wish lists, and like how do you get people on the wish list, and you go to this place, and there's tons of strategies and stuff. Jimmy J says, thanks for these live chats and for the content. Enjoy listening to your perspective on both tech and society. Excellent. Glad you enjoy them. Yeah, making a business is becoming financially successful at something like this is it's very difficult. It's honestly like probably one of the more, I think when you're raised in the ecosystem of tech, you're kind of conditioned to think like this is the like building a software product is like a super easy way to make money, but it's not. It might have used to been, but today it's like you've got to really got to have something exceptional about you. And I think it's also about understanding the markets. So if you think that having a good product or a good game is the way to succeed and make a lot of money, I don't think that's correct. I think just look at the state of the AAA industry. That's all like these trash, buggy, microtransaction games. And you can hate on that all you want, but the reason those are most of the games is because of just like the law of compounding returns. All the companies that spent a long time to make a good game went into business because they didn't bring in enough money to pay the developers. And if that did work, then those are the only games we'd see, because the companies would thrive. But unfortunately, the reality is microtransactions and getting tons and tons of money from people to make garbage, buggy games, that's the winning growth model. But that may change. The industry goes through waves, up and down. All right, let's see if I can figure this out. Is in somebody anonymous says, happy 0B1100100 days of Domination. Thank you. I'm glad someone appreciates the hard work that I do. last day, eh? I don't know. I think we could still go a few more days. until the job's done. We'll tone in then. Excellent. You know what, I just realized that's probably... Yeah. This should go... Maybe this will just work. Nope. So it's expecting true, which it should not. All right, that is significant progress. All right, now let's increase the testing. 10, 5, 'Oh, it's too good to be true. Is your computer using the CPU you grew? Yep, of course. I only use the freshest and purest homegrown CPUs. Expected L. Can I get this bug as a 1 by 1? Nope. Interesting that it doesn't. Maybe it's. I have too many characters. Interesting. One, 3, 6, 1. All right, this one fails. Expected object was L, but it's on a space. Do I even... That might be a bug in my other... that might explain one of the bugs in my actual implementation. What's your career history? I want to be realistic about my career roadmap in web dev. It's a lot of work to explain it. I have a bunch of videos on it. I worked at Amazon. If you search my search my channel about Amazon and NVIDIA. These days, I'm not sure. The tech market is kind of in a slump right now. Inevitably, it will recover. People say AI is going to take all of the jobs. I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to substantially change jobs. No odd jobs in between. So I went to the University of Waterloo and I did the co-op program. And as part of that, I did 6 co-op placements throughout my undergraduate degree. So I did worked at a small startup. Then I worked at made crappy mobile apps for a company in Toronto back in 2011. Then I worked at a Forex market maker, writing Java code for tests and visualizations. Then I worked at NVIDIA Corporation, and I rewrote the internal dashboard that represented for all of the tests, the test cases for the CUDA team. They had a dashboard that was really slow, so I just rewrote it to make it fast and also configured it so individual developers could see if they could see a specific web page with only their test instead of waiting for this like slow web page that would load, hundreds of tests for relevant stuff. The last 2 terms I worked at Amazon, working on a product called Amazon Redshift. So that's my career. Those were internships, but they were basically, especially towards the end, basically like my taste of 9 to 5. And then I decided to start my own software consulting business, which I talked about on in a bunch of videos. And then the software consulting stuff has been very problematic, which I've detailed in many videos. And that leads me today to the one thing that is actually showing growth and consistent revenue, which is making YouTube content related to software development. Do unit tests help diagnose bugs like this? Yes, very, very much. It's these are basically like fuzz tests. So this is going to allow me to I should be able to get like a it's way more work to write a test suite like this, but once I have it working, it also means I can be way more once it is so good that it basically covers like every corner case, then I can really aggressively refactor the implementation to make it faster. Is there an extra -1 or +1 somewhere? Could be. I'm going to check something in a second. Ever considered switching to a machine learning role? Maybe I could, but I didn't focus any on machine learning in my undergraduate degree, so I'm kind of behind the curve on that. Where I probably could do is I could probably get into like working on like integration work. I have done some like I didn't do machine learning work, but like for the actual stuff where you need to understand the machine learning stuff. But I have done like integration work for like some people had some like really poorly architected machine learning experiments, and I came on to kind of refactor that and like turn it a bit more into like a production application that could be cobbled together and deployed. The Alduck says, "You're on day 100. Congrats. You're here for history." All right, let's make sure this is not actually a character I'm outputting. Because if it is, yeah, that might explain it. So the fact that it saw a space means that my implementation of the merge algorithm is inserting a space somewhere, and that is wrong. I guess what the somewhere is x equals 1, y equals 0. That character there is a space, but there is no space here. Soul 16 joins the student here. Welcome. So you know what? I bet I can make this simpler. So we could do height is 1, and it'll probably still fail. Interesting. Did not expect that. Oh wow. got another super chat. Thank you very much. A super sticker from Soul16. Congrats on your 5th super chat. Interesting that that does not crash. Let's see what this does. Okay, that'll do it. So the changed region it's going to update is right on the L character. So it's changed and it's active. This one is inactive and changed. Sorry, but I'm 15. I'm not going to deal with this YouTube age restriction by YouTube. That's unfortunate. I'm not really sure what to say. It's I mean, it sucks for young people, but at the same time, the internet is like I heard someone say recently, like the internet is actually becoming a battlefield. And from my time extensively spending a lot of time on the internet, like the internet is becoming an increasingly dangerous place. And I don't even mean that from like weird people who like, try to message inappropriate messages to you or something. Like it's like especially with all the geopolitical stuff we have going on and the rise of AI and like influence campaigns and stuff. Yeah, I don't know where we're headed. I actually think the what they're saying is that the age verification is going to be like to protect kids from like weirdos and perverts and stuff. I actually think the more significant thing going forward is that like the some kind of real identification thing is going to be inevitable for basically the entire internet is going to be 100% bots. Like bots are going to get more sophisticated, and the entire internet will just be like if you just imagine the chat right now just being spammed like with 1,000 chat messages per second, and it's just constant like bots posting like propaganda about like some foreign war or something, and that's just going to get worse and worse. And I think that's going to be the thing that actually pushes all the age verification. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know what to say. We need kind of like a. We can't really go back to the old internet. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We need a new internet. That's what we need. I suggest the increase width next to help confirm is the height. I guess I could. Well, let's see. Let me think about why this might be triggering. There may also be some bugs in my might have like an index wrong or something. I'm using I when I'm supposed to be using J somewhere. Actually, I'll do as you said, and let's put that in 4 and go to 1. All right, so it seems to need the height. Past my walk time, close to nap time. Best of luck fixing the bug. I'll see you in the next stream. Have a good night, and thank you very much for your incredibly generous super chat donation. Have a good night. All right, that's even simpler. All right, that should be very simple to debug. That is interesting that does not. It requires level 2. Rowboat 9 says, "What's up? I'm currently working on debugging some test cases for my terminal-based video game. So it's supposed to be it'll take too long to explain. I have a bug where it's I'm working on the process of merging layers together, user interface layers, and then once they're merged together, they'll be printed to the screen. And currently there's bugs and performance issues. So I'm going to build up some good test cases, and then once my test suite tests are all passing, and the algorithm actually works, then I'll aggressively refactor it and improve it. Happy day 0B1100100 of streaming. Thank you very much. Cool. I wish I could do that. I have no skill in computing. If the algorithm put you into my stream, then that means the algorithm thinks that you would be good at this. Please tell me you had a break here in between last time I was here and now. I only stream for a couple hours a day. That was like 2 days ago. Yeah, I only you can check my the live tab of my channel. I do I start about 10 p.m. and then usually go to about just after midnight. That was yesterday. Yeah, it all blurs together, doesn't it? Is this wrong? Oh, that's wrong. Is it hard to code? It's not hard. It just takes thousands and thousands of hours of practice. Leo Webb, I believe in you. I'm learning JavaScript right now. What's JavaScript? I'm a total noob. JavaScript is a programming language for the web. So when you visit web pages and there's like interactive stuff, usually it's JavaScript doing that. How long are you streaming for? I may be coming to the end of the stream soon. The worst language of all time? I don't know about that. I think it's pretty all right. Does the job. When will begin the stream. Probably relatively soon. I'm on the verge of fixing a bug though. Oh, that's wrong. Is this a solo project? Yes. You showed me how to make a CPU. When you show me how to make a PU. I was thinking about doing a follow-up video, but I don't know if I'll have time. Oh, that's also wrong. Worst language of all time, literal backbone of the internet. Yeah, that's a good counterexample. Your voice is really soothing. Yeah, that's convenient. That's not a deliberate thing. I did not choose that, but people have fortunately said on a number of occasions that I have a decent voice for doing this. So, are these updates correct now? Let's see what this does. Alright, it's still full of bugs. Oh, it's not disappearing now. That's an improvement. It's crazy slow though. Alright, let's see if that fixed the test case. Nice. Fantastic. Now let's see. If I can make this more crazy. All right, that's looking pretty good. No crashes. So that takes me pretty much through all the fuzzing behavior. There's still one more thing I have to add, which is randomization of deactivating or activating or deactivating the entire layer, which is not built into the test suite, but this covers all the behavior for single column characters. So the next thing, which is the important challenge to really implement, the other thing was offsets. I want to be able to make the algorithm support arbitrary sized layers, because that's an important case. So those will be the next two things. Is adding adding randomized test cases for inactivating layers, and then also the next will be allowing offsets to the layers. Then once that works, it'll probably be easy to make the the size of the layers arbitrary. And then once all that works, then I can implement the multi-column characters. Well, I think that's probably that's a good place to end the stream on a high note. Got some productive work done tonight, and I guess we'll have to continue tomorrow for day 101. So that'll be it for day 100, and I guess we'll see you all tomorrow. Later, guys.